Hey guys, welcome back. So recap of where we were. I went ahead and took some 150 grit sandpaper and did a little bit of sanding, got everything kind of smoothed down. So before I'm not completely done with my sanding yet. Usually I start around 150 and I'll go all the way up to 220, sometimes even higher than that. So anyway, I want to go ahead and get some more of my details in here before I do any more. So one thing I did off camera is I went ahead and put the holes where the eyes are going to go. And these are just my starter holes. I still have to make that a little bit bigger. I just used a round diamond ball for that. I try not to use like drill bits. I've tried it before in the past and they always tear out. So I find if you're using a grinding tool, at least to get it started, works better for me anyway. I went ahead and put in where my barbs are going to go, and all I did is take a pencil and just draw these lines out on one side. Always mark the back side so that when you draw your lines on the opposite side, they line up. Now if you got a stencil for this, then that's great, but I'm doing stuff the poor boy way, I guess, the hard way. So I just hand draw all of my lines on here, and this is what I'm gonna be doing next. So if you have access, this makes it a lot easier. I like to use a round diamond ball. So there's the smallest one I have, and that little guy there is only like a 16th across. I have two others here. Now this one maybe an 1/8, and this one's like 3/16. So the reason I have those is because you can see this biggest one here. When I go to carve that barb right there, if I can hold this, I mean it's bigger than the entire fin right there, that little pointy section, so I have to have a small one. So it's just good to have smaller. Now you don't have to use the same tools I use when you do these. I mean, there are other options. So anyway, that's what I'm gonna be doing next, is working on this. And also, if you look down here underneath on the bottom, I decided I'm gonna add another little detail under there. I'll use the cylinder bit for that. So I use that cylinder bit for just about everything. It's a very handy tool to have. So anyway, enough talking, let's get to carving. So my barbs are all in now, and that took way longer than I wanted it to. You may have noticed I went back with this little round ball and put some little notches in some of these fins, so I think that gives it a little more character. I've rarely caught a fish that had perfect fins on it. They had been torn from whatever it is fish get into to tear their fins. But I've got took some old 150 grit sandpaper. I'm just going back and touching these up in between. So I always take some older paper that's probably just about gone, truth be told, fold it up and just kind of get in there and clean these grooves up real good. This is also when I'll notice if I've got some touching up I want to go back and do, or sometimes it's kind of hard to see with the dust flying and all. So touch these up a little and check them out and see what else needs to be done. I also want to say that when you're carving your fish, if you're doing this for like competition or something, then you're probably going to want a better reference than this little flat piece of paper I have. So if you're like into competitions or wanting to compete, put your carving comp, especially on the realistic side. the better reference you can get, the better chance you're gonna have of replicating that fish exactly like it is in nature. Even better if you can go catch one and examine it up close, take measurements, and take your own pictures. So I'm just trying to get close. I'm not putting this in any competition at all. And I always try to get a little better. So. These carvings. And I plan on painting this guy. The more I work with it and see all these pretty grains, the more I hate to hide all that. So we'll see. I'm gonna finish sanding this up and I'll go back and add some little notches in the end. Start on that tail. All right, guys, a couple things here real quick. I got the details in on these fins, so maybe you can see that. Now the key to putting these little flares or whatever you want to call them right in the tips of the fins here is getting in the right angle and the right light to see what you're actually doing when you're trying to do these. So it's kind of hard to see them when you're putting them in if you're not just at the right angle and got the right light. So once you finish these, I like to go back. I found out in the past using sandpaper. Sandpaper will take off too much material if you try to sand these, you know, get like you ever have any little pieces sticking up or something. But when I bought my Dremel flex shaft kit, it came with these little spiral disc things here, and these are just little plastic star looking bits, and all they do is they got a little screw that holds them on top right there. But if you run these things slow, at a slow speed and little pressure, they work great for getting in these grooves, like on these fins, and removing them little pieces in there you don't want. But it doesn't take away your detail, because this is such a fine grit, so it works great for getting those little pieces out of there, especially if you work with basswood like I have in the past. Basswood is bad about getting fuzzies, and this works great for getting those off. So got that done, and also we got our tail finished, and I went back and put some notches in the tip of this tail. So I didn't put a whole lot, depending upon the fish you're trying to recreate as to how many you want to put in there, but we got those done. So the thing left to do now is we're gonna take our glass eyes I got from Amazon. Now these come with a wire on the end. I just clipped those wires, added a little hole here where our eyes are gonna go, just so those wires have a place to go and see. But press those in there about where they're gonna go. I'm gonna trace that off with my pencil, so I know about how much material I got to remove. And I'm not gonna remove it all. I'm gonna Don't want to lose that, I don't want to take off too much. I want just enough that that eye sits right below. So if I kind of mark, just to give myself a guide on where those need to go, we're gonna go back with our ball, diamond ball burr, and I'm just gonna wallow that out until I get it big enough for that eye to sit in there just like we want. If you guys have a Dremel flex shaft and you want to hang it up and trying to get it at the right height, sometimes I need a little more slack than others. I literally made myself a chain out of zip ties so I could adjust the height. But hey, it works, so don't knock it, right? All right, let's get these eyes put in here. There we go. All right, so all I'm gonna do, glasses on. All right, so followed that out some. That still fits just a little tighter than I want. Drop that in there. It's going in the hole just a little tighter. So I'm gonna make it just a little bit bigger. And if these stop cutting on you, or it seems like it's not cutting as good as it was, just a little wire brush. And you can pick these up usually in the little bargain bins in your hardware stores. That's where I got this one. But give it a little brush. Don't put a torch on your tools. Just take a brush and clean it off best you can. Let's try it. I bet there ain't a person out there that cars that don't occasionally have to stop below there till it's off. There we go. That looks a lot better. It's a lot easier to get in there. If I can get it back out. I always glue those in last. Paper. Careful not to get shit out. I usually go back when I'm done and knock that hard corner out. Oh yeah, that's gonna fit right in there. There we go. I'm gonna go back and knock that little corner off. Call that good and do the other side. There you go. I don't know why, but I like my eye sockets to be just slightly beveled before the eye lands in there. So I'll go back and sand that. Yes, that looks good. I like it. Okay guys, so we got our eyes socketed and I worked those out just a little bit bigger. So what I've noticed, if you buy these eyes like I do, the cheap ones on Amazon, these little glass eyes with the wires on them, you'll notice that sometimes, even though they're supposed to be the same size, they're not perfect. So that's one of the reasons I go back and bevel the edge of that eye socket to kind of help hide the imperfections, because these aren't exactly perfectly round, I promise you. They're not even the same size. So I always make sure I lay the one that goes on the left side here and the one that goes the right side somewhere else, so you don't get them confused. But I got my eyes set where I want them. All our details are in. I even went back, you can see, and I added the tongue inside of there. And all I did was took a round diamond ball burr and put that tongue feature inside the mouth there. So that's just one extra little detail you can do. But other than that, I'm ready to hit this once over with some 220 grit sandpaper. I'll sand it down and make sure that everything is like I want it. The next step after that, we're going to be making the fins that go on the side. I'll slot those where the fins go, and then we'll be ready to stamp some scales on here. So that's where we're at. Hope you'll stay tuned for the next part.